hopefully behind me. I will welcome you all. Most of the apologies that we're all meeting today on such an event, but I believe that every single person here has a bond, affection, respect, and regard for our beloved, too soon departed brother Albert. What can you say about Okumagba? Will do justice to. Again, I would please ask everybody to respect the occasion by putting your phones on silent. Thank you. Albert, a man, as I say, a man who was a veritable philosopher teacher, who would be touched by the fact that even in these unusual, socially pliant, affected times, we'd be happy to see people still take time out to come and pay their respects in this type of event. I don't think there's a single person in here that was touched, struck by Albert's boundless energy, passion. Not just for Casey, but everything he did. But as I said, I'm a very worthy vessel for communicating this. So I'd like to hand over these people who are better placed to speak about Albert. And one person who is indeed that individual would be our past general secretary, Lucky, who will come up and speak and deliver the biography out of the book. So, Lucky, you have the stage.
Gloria, you know, Dr. Leke said to me that if they had asked anybody to choose King's College old boys who were active in the association, who would have been the first to die, Albert would have been the last person on everybody's mind. Such a powerful force of nature, almost as it were. It is my privilege to read the biography. The biography is long, and I'm sure everybody has read. Am I correct? So do you want me to read it again? Should I read the entire document? Sorry? Okay. Birth and education. Albert Egbarogene Okumagba was born in Warri, Delta State on Saturday, April 4th, 1964, to the illustrious family of Chief Daniel Okumagba of Okere Urobo Kingdom, Warri, and Chief Mrs. Philomena Okumagba of Efuru in Uvie local government area, both in Delta State. Albert was so loved by his parents that he was treated specially, having identified him as an unusually gifted child, a replica of his father, a deep thinker, a dreamer, selfless with a knack for seeing what others couldn't see and making the seemingly impossible possible, in addition to great leadership skills. They were both change agents for whatever they encountered. They were men who impacted so much with little or no desire for material gain. Albert attended one of the best nursery schools at the time, the Uvie Nursery School Efuru. He was specially driven to school by his father, while his siblings walked to and fro from school. He attended Federal Government College Warri from 1975 to 1981, where he was full captain. Subsequently, he became one of the most popular alumni of FGC Warri, serving not only as the one-time national president of the school's Old Students Association, but also a rallying point for scores and legions of ex-students of the school all throughout his lifetime. He completed his A-levels at the prestigious King's College Lagos from 1982 to 1983, where he was a distinguished member of the Mackey Rights House. Up Mackey! Up Mackey! Please, the people who are saying up J should mount. He served in various capacities for the Alumni Association of the school. Informally, Albert served as a mentor and a master networker of great repute for King's College Old Boys of all sects, even for boys who were born decades after his graduation. Albert then proceeded to Nigeria's premier university, the University of Ibadan, where he obtained the BSc in Economics in 1986. He did his National Youth Service Corps program in Borno, in Bomo, Zaria, Kaduna State, where he served faithfully as a Class 4 economics teacher at the government-based secondary school. He then proceeded to the University of Lagos for an MSc in Monetary Economics, graduating in 1988. He subsequently qualified as a chartered stockbroker with the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers, leading a generational revolution in the stockbroking perception, in the stockbroking profession, that changed the perception of the stockbroking vocation, placing it at par with other prestigious financial institutions in the world. He attended several courses in multilateral agency credit appraisals, World Bank assisted projects, and corporate finance. He was also an alumnus of the Lagos Business School's Chief Executive Program. A legendary and visionary investment banker, Albert identified his calling in the financial sector right from the beginning of his career and immediately took steps to actualize his vision and to carve a niche in his chosen field of investment banking. His fame as a legendary investment banker was rooted in his time with Centerpoint Merchant Bank Limited, where he served under the tutelage of old boy Dennis Odife. Albert was head of mergers and acquisitions and managed portfolios in corporate banking, multilateral agency credit appraisals, and traded on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange on behalf of Centerpoint stockbroking affiliate, Centerpoint Investment Limited. An experience that proved to be germane for Albert's future forays in leading seismic changes in the Nigerian banking landscape. The heightened political risks of the early 1990s led to a surge in systemic distress in the Nigerian banking industry, resulting in the collapse of big banks. While this led to increased apprehension among several career bankers, Albert, in his typical contrarian style, spotted opportunities in the marketplace. Thus, Albert departed Centerpoint and joined hands with a trio of ambitious young men in their 30s to set up a niche investment bank, primarily established to become a vehicle for the acquisition and restructuring of the bank. This new investment bank, Bank Guarantee Limited, was incorporated in May 1993 and commenced operations in May 1995. The founders included Tony Elumelu, Wale Jafujo, and Ike Waboku. Subsequently, based on moral suasion from regulatory authorities, Bank Guarantee Limited changed its name to BGL Limited. The first banking acquisition transaction BGL was involved in was that of the Merchant Bank of Commerce in 1995, which was acquired and subsequently renamed Continental Trust Bank. In 1996, BGL also worked on the acquisition of Crystal Bank, which was subsequently renamed Standard Trust Bank, with Tony Elumelu at the helm. Albert thus became the CEO of BGL in 1995, a position he held until his untimely death. One of the most audacious and unparalleled deals in the Nigerian financial sector remains the merger of STB and United Bank for Africa in 2005, which was midwifed by BGL even ahead of the banking consolidation era. With this deal, BGL created the template for the subsequent M&As that followed between 2005 and 2006, the banking consolidation era. This was only made possible by Albert's truthful and his ability to drive his investment banking team into new and uncharted waters. His ideal of increased banking activities through the creation of bigger and stronger banks cemented his name among the legends as a motivator and an audacious dealmaker in the M&A era, where BGL emerged as the M&A leader in the banking consolidation exercise. Thus, banks increased the possibilities of success in their M&A deals by simply engaging BGL as a financial advisor. Albert and BGL's can-do spirit ensured that the bespoke structuring and stakeholder engagement required for each transaction was provided with thoroughness, commitment, and passion. It took a lot of sleepless nights of work from the investment banking professionals, but working hard on Albert was fun and interesting. Albert's motivational skills were quite uncharacteristic of the average Nigerian manager. His avuncular attitude towards his staff and his incentive schemes brought out the best in his teams. In addition to the hands-on experience, most of the banks were also comfortable with the independence of BGL during the exercise, as most other competitors either had banking licenses or were subsidiaries of banks. So in order to preserve the independence of BGL, Albert led other executives of BGL into a management buyout of BGL in August 2006. This MBO was a novel deal at the time and demonstrated Albert's capacity to bravely reach for new grounds in the investment banking deal space. With the MBO settled, Albert was able to unlock new areas of growth for BGL through novel and audacious investment banking deals in the rather taciturn Nigerian financial landscape. With the expansion of the equity space, which led to the entry of several other peers in the M&A business, Albert subsequently identified another niche opportunity in the fixed income space when in 2006, BGL advised Access Bank on Nigeria's first corporate bond transaction in decades. Albert was a firm believer in differentiation strategy and always sought new ways to place BGL above the fray. This was evidenced by the multiple awards BGL gathered from prestigious institutions, including Euromoney. Albert also led BGL into the public sector space, where he largely redefined the subnational bond space well ahead of peers. BGL was the market leader in the bond space as the firm raised hundreds of billions for state government, thus helping to unlock long-term funds for infrastructure development across the country. Following this attainment with Albert's lead, BGL played an active role in the privatization program of the federal government, advising both on the buy and sell sides over its privatization mandate. The company consummated transactions worth several billions of naira since inception and was widely regarded as a niche player with extensive expertise in public sector and privatization advisory transactions in Nigeria. Albert indeed was a trailblazer in differentiating BGL as a thought leader and an intellectual brand. He had a passion for the BGL Financial Monitor publication, a magazine which focused on macro and capital market issues, where he regularly provided editorial oversight. He also led the firm to publish several niche and pioneer publications on topics such as agriculture, pension, insurance, and banking. Along with the publisher of This Day newspaper, Unduka Obaigwena, Albert created the This Day BGL 50 Index, which was Nigeria's first pioneer joint stock market index. In 2007, when it became clear that a key differentiating factor for boutique investment banks would be their ability to underwrite and build a proprietary war chest for domestic market opportunities, Albert took the bold step to raise 30 billion naira for BGL and to turn the company into a public company. At that time, equity capital of that size was unheard of for boutique firms, but Albert believed there was a future for local investment banks where capital could be a key differentiator. It can be argued that this vision led to a new wave of stronger, more capitalized advisory firms, better positioned to compete in today's finance landscape. But Albert's passion was beyond BGL. He had a keen interest in national development with a strong focus on education. His zeal for education was demonstrated in his unending and enduring work for his alma mater, King College Lagos and Federal Government College Warri. In addition to serving as a former national president of Federal Government College Warri Old Students Association and former vice president of the King's College Old Boys Association, he also served as the pioneer president general of the Unity Schools Old Students Association, USOSA, the umbrella body of alumni associations of the over 100 Unity schools in Nigeria, incorporated in 2007. As USOSA, Albert quickly established a credible group that became a strong advocacy platform for the strengthening and reform of Unity schools. His aspiration for a non-tribal, non-partisan comradeship among Nigerian Unity School alumni that will produce leaders across all facets of the Nigerian economy, including politics, was only partly achieved. He was also a strong voice among the King's College alumni. Some would say Albert was, in many meetings, the loudest voice. His passion for the school was visible to all who knew him well enough, and in the early part of 2020, he was appointed chairman of the renewed King's College Endowment Fund Committee, a 100 billion naira fund for the school. Albert's commitment to the KCOBA program needs in the area of financial support remains a benchmark in the association's record. He was instrumental to major corporate engineering initiatives undertaken by the KCOBA. As Financial Secretary and Chairman of the Mobilization Committee, Albert made it possible for the first major fundraising event / dinner to hold outside Lagos, and this was successfully organized in Abuja in 2001. The need to integrate young and middle-aged old boys into the fold of the association was a major policy thrust. And Albert was readily available to midwife the network forum as committee chairman to facilitate entrepreneurship interaction across the board for sustainable development for King's College. During the college restoration programs leading to the centenary program, Albert was identified as an arrowhead to drive the fund mobilization as chairman of the finance committee, a task he performed excellently at. Albert's firm, BGL Asset Management Limited, was also engaged to put in place a structure for the King's College Old Boys Association Endowment Fund Program for KC, and was one time regarded as the largest corporate employer of King's College Old Boys, as Albert paid forward with gratitude the exceptional treatment he received from Obi Dennis Odife at the job interview that launched his banking career. Albert supported the association in different areas, and his residence was always available for different KCOBA activities and meetings. Albert was a potent force in the KCOBA exco till his death, and at a point, Albert was single-handedly responsible for paying the salaries of the secretariat staff for a period slightly short of 3 years. Albert also availed the federal government of his vast experience, serving in various volunteer roles for the government. He led engagements with the federal government on improving the sustainability of unity schools in Nigeria. In 2010, he was a member of the federal government Job Creations Committee established by the then Finance Minister Olusegun Aganga under the chairmanship of Aliko Dangote. He also served as a member of the Federal Government Committee on the downstream petroleum sector in 2012, following the Occupy Nigeria protests against the removal of subsidy in January of that year. In all of these engagements, Albert proved his mettle as a progressive who consistently pushed for bold and audacious reforms. His brief foray into politics saw him running for the 2007 gubernatorial elections in Delta State. Albert proved to be a good steward for the Investment Banking and Stockbroking Committee. He served as the president of the Association of Issuing Houses of Nigeria and as a member of the Security Exchange Commission, SEC established Capital Market Committee. He also served as the president of the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers and championed the establishment of the Central Securities Clearing System and the NASD OTC PLC to provide an alternative platform for trading equity. His aspirations for a thriving and deep capital market resulted in his efforts to persuade the federal government to grant forbearance on margin loans to 84 stockbrokers in 2012. Albert championed several other courses, in all cases aspiring to make everything he was involved in better than he met it. Albert's enduring qualities include his audacious optimism, his great sense of humor, his excellent networking ability, his expansive memory of people's names, his knack for spelling these names correctly, his motivational skills, and his empathy, which reflected in his pursuit of several humanitarian causes. Someone should also add that in technology terms, Albert and his communicators were legendary. Beyond this, Albert was a firm believer in the human ability. Thus, at BGL and in so many of his groups, Albert provided a strong platform for human talent to discover themselves and excel. This is demonstrated by the leadership positions of BGL alumni across the Nigerian financial sector and even in government. At BGL, he also instituted a strong culture of enterprise, ownership, and self-confidence amongst the staff, while also creating a workplace that was fun to be at. Albert was a contrarian who loved to dare and pursue new obstacles, while taking down perceived obstacles in his course. He was well known for defending the oppressed whenever he found himself in David and Goliath scenarios. He will be sorely missed for this quality. Albert was additionally a devout Catholic who regularly attended Mass at the Church of Assumption, Falomo, Lagos. He was also an avid sportsman with a passion for squash where he excelled on the court especially at the private squash club Old Trafford in Ikoyi, where he was a leading member. Albert was happily married according to the ordinances of the Catholic faith to Emilia of the Akagbosu family of Agenibode, Edo State. Albert Egbarogene Okumagba passed on to greater glory on November 19, 2020, age 56. He is survived by his wife Emilia and 5 children, Michael Ogenerukebe, Fidelis Akovona, and Eloho, his siblings and his mother. He is also survived by members of the Okumagba, Najomo, Akagbosu families, as well as the Kiri Urobo Kingdom of Wari, Deltans, and Nigerians. The family and Nigeria as a whole have lost a true gem, and Egba will forever miss you. You live in our hearts and prayers. Rest in peace, Albert, Nigeria's unsung hero. Thank you.
Floriette, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be working with Hania today on this task, preparing this event. We'd like to formally recognize the presence of President Kesiobe Alhaji Kashim Imam, other members of the King's College Old Boys Association National Excos, past presidents of chapters, chairmen of chapters from all over the country that are here present. We'd like to recognize the presence of past presidents of the KCOBA, including Olorodu Sonny Puku, that's here present, and other members of the Board of Trustees of the King's College Old Boys Association. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd also like to recognize the presence of the Deputy Managing Director of BGL PLC, Mr. Chibundu Edozien, and other members of BGL present. I'd like to recognize the presence of members of the Unity Schools Old Students Association here present. Would also like to recognize the presence of the President, Nigerian Bar Association, Mr. Oluwafata, King's College Old Boy. Would also like to recognize the presence of staff of King's College Lagos and the student body that are also here present. It's I believe I'm socially distanced. Yeah, it's a very, very difficult period for all of us. Really tragic when I personally heard that my hero and boss passed on. My life was interwoven with Albert in very many ways. Was a forebear in many ways. Went to King's College. I went to King's College. Went to University of Ibadan. I went to University of Ibadan. He worked at BGL and was so gracious to also employ me in BGL many years ago. So I'll be speaking. I won't be delivering a tribute as such, but I'll be speaking about my relationship with him throughout the course of emceeing this event. At this point in time, I'd like to welcome the presence of President King's College Old Boys Association, Alhaji Kashim Imam, to be very tribute. Thank you very much.
Sorry at all. I wish to stand on the existing protocol. I also wish to start by acknowledging the fact that for me and for most of us, it's been very difficult coming to terms with the fact that Albert is gone. I read in one of the tributes Albert, specifically by George Ikoli, SAN, in which he stated that he thought he had conquered pain. I have certainly not conquered pain, and I've been in pains for. Albert was someone that I spoke with, I interacted with literally on a daily basis. So that is gone is difficult to come to terms with. When my friend, the president of USOSA, who is here with us, Wilbert, at the evening of tributes that was organized by USOSA in Abuja and pushed me and requested that I should do a tribute, I broke down. Yesterday, I carefully avoided breaking down again by asking the deputy president of the King's College All Boys Association in the person of Dr. Leki Oyeshuni to deliver a tribute at the service and evening of tributes. But this is King's College, and I have to say something. Also, as it is said, time heals. So the process of healing has started. And I want to believe that our muster the courage to say something about our departed brother this evening. I and Albert communicated literally on a daily basis. Every day. We would call between 7 and always early, as early as 7 and 8 a.m. And he will challenge you. Are you aware of what is going on in the country? You can hear laughter in his voice because it's almost certain that you don't have an answer to his question. He would go on to brief you. By 7, he had read the papers, he had listened to various media, and he is in touch with what is happening in the country, literally, practically, on a daily basis. Such is. And I have acknowledged that it is very difficult for me to come to terms with the fact that he's gone. The nature of Albert Okumagba, the man of boundless energy, intellectual and physical capacity. I have not met anyone in the past 6 decades who had Albert's energy. Albert literally built BTL from a small stock brokerage firm into easily the biggest investment fund in the country. I acknowledge the fact that BTL had challenges. However, such challenges was not of Albert's nature. It was a global problem. In good times, Albert was the single highest employer of Kingsmen. In our entire 111 years history, his generosity to the college was limitless. It was Albert who spearheaded as chairman of the finance committee under the presidency of Olorogun Sonikuku, the renovation work of this main campus of King's College, Lagos, at the sum of nearly 1 billion naira. And that was what brought us very, very close. Albert also literally single-handedly built the secretariat of King's College All Boys Association here on the main campus. Having consulted with my colleagues of the ESCO, it is my singular honor and privilege to announce this evening the limit of our secretariat after Albert. By any definition of the word, Albert is easily a hero. I've never had Albert say no. For Albert, the word no and impossible simply did not exist in his vocabulary. Albert was not just a dreamer, Albert was the dream himself. Among the galaxy of stars that make up the body of Kingsmen, Albert was a superstar, standing head and shoulders above us all in terms of his commitment to King's College. His commitment, determination, passion, and zeal for King's College is unparalleled. Albert had boundless energy and channeled it into several causes. He effortlessly built bridges. And he's not just a bridge builder, Albert is the bridge himself. He devoted unparalleled effort into whatever cause he took on, whether it is King's College, it is USOSA, it is investment banking, politics and good governance, the game of Scotch that he loved dearly, he played each role with such dexterity that you'll be convinced that each is his primary calling. Equally devoting his time and resources. The fact that I'm standing here before you as president of our All Boys, it's a small testimony of his selflessness and can-do spirit. Albert came to me one day and he famously declared to me that you are going to be our next president. I thought it was a joke because Kim Bello Osage was our president. As such, there was no vacancy. Secondly, I told him categorically no, because I thought it was a joke. When I saw the seriousness and his determination, I had to explain my circumstances to him. And I ended by saying, no, my hands were and still are full. But you don't say no to Albert. It made him more determined. The rest, as they say, is history. His next project was to take King's College into USOSA. Albert is King's College, easily. Albert also is USOSA. And he was greatly concerned that King's College was not part of USOSA. And he was determined to correct this. He came and requested that I should attend the plenary of USOSA holding in Kaduna. And it was easy for me. By this time, I've learned how not to say no to him. I answered positively. I called him the Don. I said to him, as the Don pleases. He thought I was joking. And he was both pleasantly surprised. And he came to tell me he was grateful when I showed up in Kaduna as being the first president of our All Boys Association to attend a USOSA summit. Albert and I, we talk on a daily basis, always about King's College and Nigeria, never about himself, even when he was going through very difficult times. Albert called me on a Wednesday, precisely the 18th of November. He requested that he actually wanted my approval to name Senator Dodoma as chairman of our endowment fund committee. He also wanted Alhaji Samsudin Usman named as the chairman of our PPP, Private Public Partnership Committee, to engage with the federal government on the possible takeover of the administration of King's College by our Board of Trustees and the ESCO of the King's College All Boys Association. And I responded positively. I said, as the Dom pleases. Next, he asked me, who should he liaise with in constituting the membership of the two committees? And I told him to consult with Dr. Leke Oshuni. Just as he was about to hang up, perhaps his providence, I brought up the issue of BGL. Myself, Alhaji Jani Ibrahim, and Mr. Chuma Anosike had resolved on our own to engage with the management of the Nigerian Stock Exchange on the problems of BGL. And we had also agreed amongst ourselves that it was best to leave him out of it. So he was not even aware of our previous engagements. But we had a scheduled engagement with SEC for Friday 20th. And my last engagement with him was on Wednesday 18th. Albert died on the 19th of November, a Thursday. We could not keep the appointment at SEC. I said to Emilia, his widow, and his children, we cannot promise you the love and care that Albert gave. For Albert was in a class of his own. But I want to assure, on behalf of all Kingsmen, that we'll be there for you. As Johnny Gill famously sang, we'll be there till the end. Even in stormy weathers, time and time again. Surely, Shakespeare spoke of one like Albert when he wrote, his life was gentle, and the elements so mixed in him that nature can stand up and say to all the world, this was a man. I wish to announce on behalf of our trustees and the ESCO of the King's College All Boys Association an initial donation of the sum of 10 million naira for the upkeep of his widow and his children. Delta Force, I bid you a most painful goodbye. Adios.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'd like to President King's College Association. It was not just the bridge builder, it was the bridge itself. Albert was not just the dreamer, he was the dream himself. Can you put your hands together for him? I'd like to recognize the presence of member of the Board of Trustees and former President, King's College Old Boys Association, who is joining us virtually via Zoom, Mr. Kim Bello Osagi. Also joining us via Zoom is the President, Queen's College Old Girls Association, Mrs. Wepo Omwegui Okauru. and other distinguished personnel, people joining us via Zoom. Also seen Pastor Trinity Church, Pastor Godalo, that was just other people. So you just permit me if I don't recognize you because you're wearing a face mask. So I'll say before I call the next person to come up, I'd just like to say a few things about how I met Albert. Leading up to King's College Centenary in 2009, local Dr. Sonny Cooper just become president of the KCOBA, and it was a summon of sort to all King's College boys to rally round, to sort of restore the glory of King's College at the time. I was just fresh out of the University of Ibadan. I didn't have much to offer, but I thought, like other young people like myself at the time, that we could offer our efforts. Albert's house was a meeting point for very many meetings. It was in such meetings that I met people, many of my mentors today, Dr. Lake Oshmi, and everybody. He always made sure that we were well taken care of, and I like to also recognize the fact that he had very loyal people that worked with domestic servants, that I'm sure are very devastated. I worked with him several years. Albert just needed to signal to them and they understood that he needed to do the usual to make everybody happy with whatever it is that he wanted in terms of the drink. Our meetings lasted very late into the night. I remember one particular day where we had a meeting up to about 2 a.m. And when I say 2 a.m., everybody, including Honorable Dr. Puku, still there at that time, deliberating on King's College and one thing or the other. I think we had an event because I remember that TADEX is Mr. Taiwo, I can't remember his name now, the long-time printer for King's College. He prints magazines and things. TADEX actually had his pregnant wife in the car outside. It wasn't until when we were leaving that we now realized that you mean that your wife was pregnant, and they said, "What can you do that?" He's seen other people also here. So that's how we were driven with that vision and passion to be able to ensure that we did as much as possible to restore the glory of King's College at the time. So there was one particular instance that I want to mention, which is very, very important. When you talk about networking, Albert was the man. Was the bridge builder indeed, because he opened up his network to everybody, especially for the younger generation. And at that time, I didn't even have a job. I wasn't working. And I remember that same evening, people asked Albert and said, "What are we doing about some of our people that are in this meeting?" Kele Nwakwa was there that evening as well. I don't know if Kele is here today. Is Kele here? Is in absentia. Can you put your hands together for Kele Nwakwa? One of the most devoted, staff, personal aides of Albert. And Dr. Kuko asked that evening that, "What are we doing about these people? Look at, they're so committed for nothing, volunteering, they're with us." And that evening, Albert said, "Don't worry, I'll take it off." The next day, Albert called and said, "You should meet him at BGL." On that day in BGL was the day that I wrote a test. It was on that day that I was interviewed. It was on that day that I received my appointment letter. And I wasn't the only one. That was the same day that Kele Nwakwa was employed into BGL. I'll say some other things about my time in BGL later on, but that's just to emphasize the kind of person that he was. He was someone that believed in empowering people. As was said earlier, I was one of the largest employers of labor in King's College, and I'll segue right now into introducing the next person that will be speaking. We referred severally to Albert as the unsung hero. Don't let us wait till our heroes pass before we recognize them. So today I'd like to recognize another person that's very, very committed to the cause of the King's College Old Boys Association. And not only that, he's also one person that has also committed to employing so many King's College Old Boys CMD group. He is someone that is committed to sports development. He served severally on the King's College Old Boys Association, first as sports secretary and now as King's College Old Boys Association vice president. So many King's College Old Boys work in his company. It's gracious indeed. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kele Mbago. Please put your hands together for him and celebrate him. Thank you.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, laureates, and a happy new year to you. Thank you very much, Aki. You jumped the gun. I wasn't expecting to see it yet. But ladies and gentlemen, after our president's speech, you will find mine to be very, very short. Not because I cannot talk about my relationship with Albert from now till tomorrow. Not because I cannot find 100 different anecdotes to describe this colorful, larger than life character, Albert Okumagba. But because much of what I say will, Albert's character was an open book. With Albert, you got what you saw. And everybody who has spoken about Albert says exactly the same thing. It doesn't differ. One of the lines that came into my mind as I came up to speak was one by Thomas Gray in his famous poem, Elegy Written in the Country Churchyard, when he said, "Full many a flower is born to blush unseen and waste its sweetness on the desert air." That line came into my mind really because it is in stark contrast to Albert Okumagba. Albert was not born to blush unseen, and he never wasted anything, let alone his sweetness. I met Albert in King's College. Albert came in to do his A-levels. Albert was handsome. Albert was a good sportsman. He played hockey and cricket, which are distinctions in King's College. And so Albert was extremely popular in the short time he spent with us. In spite of being popular, one thing that struck anyone was that Albert was not mean. He was one of those popular people who tried to be nice to everybody. And those were characteristics that stayed with him all his life. I think he did jump, so he was after University of Ibadan. I remember how envious we all were that this our friend has already become managing director of DGL in such a short time. I remember that a couple of years ago, when I had a very difficult transaction to try and bridge, Albert, practically unasked, came to my help. Someone wrote something immediately after his death about Albert calling them at 1 a.m. I laughed, even though such a tragic event had just taken place. Because that was the experience with Albert Okumagba. Any time of the day and of energy as he had. The president made a comment during his speech when he said, "You don't know to Albert Okumagba." That comment resonates with all of us because one of the greatest entertainments I had was watching Albert tackle a difficult task. The analogy of an irresistible force meeting an immovable object always comes to mind. And I'm not surprised that at the end of the day, the president said yes. It was always easier to say yes to Albert. He was a wonderful gentleman. He was a loyal friend. He was always a mentor. And ladies and gentlemen, I can't tell you how heavy my heart is when I join everybody to say goodbye to Albert Okumagba. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, KCOB Kilimbaku. Thank you for your service as well. One of our key values in King's College is service to the living and honor to the dead. So we don't wait for people to die before we celebrate. Thank you very much. I'd like to recognize the presence of Albert's own governor, as I like to call him, former governor of Delta State, His Excellency James Onanefe Gori, who is joining us via Zoom. I'd also like to recognize the presence of President General of Unity Schools All Students Association, Mr. Lawrence Wilbert. I'd also like to recognize the presence of Ososa Vice President General Mike Magaji, who's a Federal Government College Jos alumnus. I'd also like to recognize the presence of Treasurer, Unity Schools All Students Association, Ms. Osai Govo Ezekiel. Thank you very much for honoring us. And as Mr. President has said, we know that the King's College Association will do well to continue in the path that Albert laid, which is to ensure that there is greater integration of King's College Association in the activities of the University Schools or Students Association. Permitting for breaching protocol a little bit, before Mr. Kilimbaku was supposed to have former president of KCOBA. He is someone that is an Olorugu indeed. He leads the war, he leads the battle in so many ways. He's also someone that has been that bridge between the younger and the older generation. It was during his tenure as King's College Association had an influx of so many young people of the younger generation in the King's College. It made it really attractive for younger people because when you came to King's College Old Boys Association meetings, it wasn't just about the meetings. It wasn't just about the fact that you were volunteering. It wasn't just about the fact that you were doing things to better the lots of your alma mater, but it was the fact that people truly looked out for you. You had mentors indeed that ensured that you were on the right track in terms of career progression. It was during his tenure as well that we had a lot of infrastructural development, restorative activities within King's College. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Olorugun Dr. Sonny Kuku, former president, King's College Old Boys Association.
President, King's College Boys Association. If Albert were here, I've had the appellation of President Emeritus. So I'm already missing him because nobody has to me as President Emeritus. And next, my tribute title, Eagle. If we know the longevity of the eagle fly from tortoise. So if we were to do it, Albert should not be there. By the time I finish, I suppose that Albert is not there. Albert produced a lot of hearing about what is done, what is done. That is the whole creation of co-creation. Next, I'm going to say that mine is a testimony. We've heard from several people what Albert has done, but I want to testify to what Albert has done through me. I want to say very clearly that whatever has been said about Albert today and his contributions to King's College, SOSA, and education in particular, Albert has been passionate about education. So what he was doing in the Old Boys Associations all over the whole place was not just for Old Boys Associations, but for education as a whole. So I'm going to read my more in mixture of prose, more of prose than poetry. I'll start by saying that Albert is not just a revolutionary. Albert is, shall we call him somebody who believed that things must continue to change, even if in an unorthodox way. So, but we now know that Albert was not part of the coup that brought me to power. But he was a part of a coup a few years earlier that actually changed the face of King's College and made a lot of old boys to retreat. Fortunately, they did not retreat into the trenches. They retreated in a way in which they could still be found. And I was a beneficiary of that coup, of this second coup, which Albert was not part of. But because of his reputation, everybody thought he was the person who carried out that revolution. But today I can see the people who did it here. They are sitting in the forefront of this assembly today. One of them, I will not mention his name as Kele Mbagu. Rotimi Aladesomi could not be mentioned for fear of being taken to the guard room. And they belong to a class that I call the Cabal. And their intention was to take over the running of the place. But somehow they came and approached me in a very unorthodox way. They said they wanted to see me. And I found myself sitting in front of them being interviewed. I said, come, all of you must mount, except those from High J. Fortunately, most of them were from Mackay and Pace and Co. But what I would say was that what happened at that time caused a problem. Because for the first time, you have people in their 40s masterminding the association. And the association then was being run by people in their 60s and 70s. But their motive was clear. And because their motive was clear, it was not difficult to get the old boys back on track. Whether by training or acculturation, some gifted individuals like Albert recognize when they are on the threshold of history and are able to master the requirements for the transmutation opposite to that era. Albert was such a man. He was passionate in his vision as a King's College old boy that was not confined to Lagos or the nation, but bestowed the world. Furthermore, he saw the impending 100-year anniversary of King's College as once in a lifetime opportunity to evangelize the King's College brand. This tallied almost exactly with my own thoughts for the association. The happy and coincidental meeting of minds was to have a far-reaching consequence. Maybe people who do not know, particularly the President General of SOSA, did not know why King's College had a chip on their shoulders. I want to clarify that today. The United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization had recognized the centenary celebration of King's College as a global event. And very few colleges and schools all over the world had that. So you can understand why we thought we were where we are. But we know we are part of unity schools. We know that we are SOSA, particularly one gentleman called Olumide Apata, whose nickname I gave him as SOSA, because he didn't go to SOSA, but he was one of the biggest advocates of SOSA. So every time I see him, I say, where's your loyalty? King's College or SOSA? And he says, King's College. But behind my back, he went to Albert and declared allegiance. But whatever it is, we all work together. And we were in such a situation where King's College was also declared a heritage school, which was something that the centenary celebration was supposed to achieve. And so it became one of the most preeminent secondary schools in Africa and indeed in the world. I'm not embarrassed to say that Albert Okumagba came to the rescue of King's College, the KCOBA, and indeed Nigeria. Let me confess that it took me several years to actually realize that Albert did not spend 7 years in King's College. I honestly did not know until several years after, because of his passion for King's College. And anybody who knows his association with SOSA would not believe that Albert even went to another school except for that government. That shows his loyalty to whatever he's doing. Albert ensured that the King's College Secretariat in the school premises, which was to serve as our base operations, was raised from foundation level to completion in a matter of a few months. Mr. President, I'm testifying that you have every reason you and your escort to have named that building after him, because it was his own blood, sweat, and tears that brought that to be. His overwhelmingly generous disposition was not done. He single-handedly paid the salaries of members of staff of the Secretariat for several months. When I say several months, I mean 12 months, until the association's finances improved enough to relieve him of his duty of law. He was an integral part of the KC OBA team, usually referred to by our Socrates, Dr. Leke Oshuni. I'm unveiling you today because we've always called Socrates. But the Socrates in person is here, in the person of Dr. Leke Oshuni. As we were then called the KCOBA Knights of the Round Table. That was why we were having meetings in Secretariat, in Abba's house, everywhere, until 2, 3 a.m. to ensure that we had a centenary celebration that was unequaled. Albert was a fountain of ideas, encouragement, and support. I'm yet to meet a more positive thinker. He was tireless in his pursuit of newer and greater objectives. Yet, he found time to run that huge financial institution, of which he was both the founder and chief executive, called BGL. Another reason to thank him was the fact that he never turned back a King's College old boy seeking employment. I suspect that is why Kele Mbagu, who was mount for speaking before me, has been recognized today, because Kele Mbagu also followed those footsteps. Now I understand why that happened. That was because we were partners in crime in the University of Ibadan. And they had this club that they used to play the field with. I can't remember. I don't want to remember because I went to University of Lagos, the University of First Choice. Great King's College, Florian King's College, great Aquakites. Ladies and gentlemen, he employed as many people in PGL as possible. And he therefore had this King's College followership that was part of his company. I need to talk about the fact that the Director General of UNESCO, Mr. Kuchikiro Matsuda, in this same assembly hall, delivered a centenary speech. And Albert was standing not too far away from me. And you could see the glint in his eyes. And what the Excellency said is written in my speech. I leave you to it. Albert is gone. A part of him lives on in all who came in contact with him, regardless of the age difference. Such was incandescent brilliance that he awakened in all those whose lives he touched, a desire to rise high and fly. Albert, there'll be another Camelot. I wish you a smooth journey home. Albert Okumagba, distinguished kingsman, is dead. Long live Albert Okumagba. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sonny. I'd just like to say very quickly that in the spirit of all that is going on in the country with COVID, people need to go back to their homes very quickly. We'll be running through this event a lot quicker. So I'd like to encourage speakers to try to keep to the 3 minutes that's allocated. Going on from there. Albert is not gone. A part of him lives on in all who came in contact with him, regardless of age difference. Thank you very much, Lou. Next, we're going to have a video. Yeah. We're going to have a video tribute from the former president and member of the Board of Trustees of the King's College Old Boys Association, Mr. Kim Bello Osage. Please put your hands together for him, please. The technical team, are you ready?
I would like to express my condolences to the entire Okumagba family on the passing away of our dear beloved Albert. He was a fine human being. I remember him as a very energetic, very adventurous, full of life, full of spirit, a person who never saw any boundaries to what could be accomplished. His love for King's College was palpable, and I think when I think of Albert, I think of his services to the King's College Old Boys Association, and the way in which he sought to transform the financial services landscape. We will all miss him. Particularly sad that it happens at a time at which there is already a certain air of defeatism within our country, and we would very much have loved to have Albert around for many more years, given that can-do spirit, which he so strongly represented, would have done all of us so much good. We miss you, Albert. We are sad that you are leaving, that you have left us, but we trust that your example, your spirit, your sense of duty, your sense of generosity to your old school will remain behind for all of us to emulate and to follow. But Okumagba, King's College Old Boy, a great professional, a banker, a finance man, a person who not only united all King's College Old Boys, but also sought to unite students from all the federal government colleges, who stood very much for a united Nigeria, devoid of tribalism, in which all of us could come together to work for a common future. Albert, we miss you, we salute you, we greet you, and your name shall forever remain as a name of honor, of great spirit, and something which will rest with us for decades to come. Goodbye, and may your soul rest in peace. Thank you.
Let me first acknowledge and thank the President of the King's College Old Boys Association, Kashim Imam, the General Secretary, Lucky Dike, and all the members of the association for organizing this commemorative assembly to honor Albert Okumagba. I would have wanted to have been at this event. Unfortunately, because I just came back from the United Kingdom, I'm required to quarantine for 7 days, so I cannot be physically with you at this event. Albert did not meet me in King's College, and so I cannot speak much about his activities in the school as a student. I first met Albert as a successful investment banker and capital market operator, and as the managing director and main promoter of BGL Securities Limited. Albert had a larger-than-life presence. You could not fail to notice him in any gathering. He was friendly, he was boisterous, full of good humor, charming, and confident. He was also a big dreamer, full of ideas. He was particularly helpful to me during my term as chairman of Securities and Exchange Commission. He had extensive contacts, moved easily within both the corporate world and the world of politics and politicians. And he believed in King's College. He was proud of the school. He was very active in encouraging old boys to support the school and participate in any activity that would help to promote the school and improve the quality of the facilities in the school. Invariably, whenever he came to see me, at some point in the conversation, he would bring up the school and ideas about how we could help to make the school better. It is therefore fitting that the King's College Old Boys Association should honor him in this manner. He was a true King's College boy. It is difficult to believe that such a towering presence is gone at the relatively young age of 56. We shall miss his warm humor. We shall miss his charming smile. We shall miss his infectious optimism about life and Nigeria. I pray to the good Lord to give comfort to his wife, Amelia, and all his children. May the soul of our dear friend, Albert Okumagba, rest in perfect peace.
Thank you very much, former President, King's College Old Boys Association, Mr. Kimbelo Osage, very closely by Senator Udo Doma, former Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, former Minister of Budget and National Planning, former Chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission. Can I have Peter Nwaobugu to deliver his tribute? Please just keep to 1 minute. Peter was a son to Albert in very, very many ways and embodies his good spirit. And it's good to hear him talk about Albert. Just 1 minute.
All right. Some reason deliberately refused to write tribute because I do not believe that Albert is I believe that he lives in me, and he lives in every one of us that have come in contact with him. Akero to me has testified to a lot that Albert has done. King's College Old Boys, majority of whom work in BGL, and I am one of them. He got his job during the day. I got mine at night. After a very long meeting where I went to work in his house. At 11 p.m., he said to me, and shocked at the kind of question someone whom I had encounters with for, say, 6 years. I said to him, wait for youth service next week. Of course, that was the wrong response. But he looked at Kele and he said to him, have you made plans for him to come and work in BG? Kele, shocked at the response, also said, he wants to discuss it with you. He said, no, don't discuss it. Do the memo, bring it to me. He did not take no for an answer. Long and short is, after that, till his last days, I worked very closely with him, and I'm happy and proud that I got to meet him and he touched my life in the way and manner he did. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Peter, for a very short tribute and for keeping to time. Peter just got married. Albert will have loved her there. He just got married just a few days ago and has got his honeymoon shot to be here. Albert. Can I have his social secretary from King's College Association, who is also talking as co-MC today, Mr. Ihane, and he will come to
Laureate. Keeping with Albert's time-honored observation to make it quick, make it good, make it last, I'll simply say this. I didn't know Albert as long as most of you. I didn't know him as well as I should have. I wish I could have known much better. And I miss him. That's it.
Thank you very much. That's a great tribute indeed to Albert's spirit. And do spirit, get it on, get it moving, get it going. But most importantly, the lasting impact. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to have the President General, who's the successor, not direct successor, a few pages before him, but current President General of the Unity School Students Association, an office in which Albert held earlier, many years ago, Mr. Lawrence Wilbur.
Laureate Collegium. I want to acknowledge my fellow Yusufians here present but I think it's most important at this point this evening for me to invite the Vice President General of USOSA, the person of Michael Magaji, to give a word of tribute in honor of the man. For the following reason, Michael did spend quite a while building USOSA with Mike, with I think it's appropriate. Permit me to introduce Vice President General Sosa, Michael Magaji.
Thank you, President General. Good evening, everyone. It's great to be here, King's College. I want to thank the King's College Old Boys Association for honoring Albert this way. But it's important as USOSA, we also mention kind of things Albert did for us. USOSA is USOSA today because Albert originated an idea that came largely from him. Another gentleman called Ellet Aigoke, who was also from FGC Wari. In 2006, when Wari clocked 40, he said, well, let's extend this celebration beyond just Wari. Let's reach out to all the federal government colleges, see how we can start an association, a new movement, a new tribe of people with common values, nationhood, for hard work, for service, and for giving back. And that was how I met Albert 16 years ago. I was one of the founding members at the time of SOSA, and we would sit at the 9th or 10th floor of the Hilton in Abuja, and four of us started putting this whole thing together. And Albert was, as usual, very firm, very straight, very committed, clear timelines about what he wanted to achieve. And you know, he never stopped showing commitment to SOSA. In fact, he is the only ex-official of SOSA, not only as President General, but any at all, that would still come to our plenary meetings even after he left office. This shows commitment. Some people want office, and when they've served out their tenure, you know, they again, they are absent. But Albert continued with all he was going through, attending our plenaries, attending our meetings when he was invited, and it was incredible. Albert was a team player. I've heard the president of Cuba say he employed so many King College boys. But guess what? I know many people who went to so many other government colleges where Albert also was very happy to employ them into ETL. So he had a very generous heart. He wanted to work with everybody, and he had no mental barriers as to where you're from. He was very committed and he was open. It didn't matter. Albert was very creative. That has already been said. The financial sector transformation of 2000s not have been possible without people like him playing a role in that sector. Another key quality we saw in Albert Isusa was that whole giving back thing. I mean, here you are with so much to do, coming back this evening to spend hours to listen to this. I mean, it's not everybody who wants to be committed, not everybody who wants to give back, but Albert knew to show that, and he did that in all of us that worked with him. Albert had high energy. He would always tell us that, look, this has to be done, and it will be done, and he never stopped at doing it. I remember when he organized a breakfast meeting for Yusosa at Villa with President Obasanjo at the time. He said it was going to happen, and it did happen. And so many people came in because of how he wanted to promote Yusosa. So Yusosa owes a lot to Albert. And I would like to challenge Oba not just to even just name the secretariat after him, but if you don't have a hall of fame, set one up, and Albert should be put in that hall of fame. Those who FTC worry too, I want to suggest that very strongly. Finally, I would also suggest we, as we social, we're going to work towards an biography about Albert, and I do hope we can work with Cuba in achieving that. So on behalf of all of us, the President General, my President General who is here, and the members of ESCO and the 104 schools that make up the SOSA, I join all of you in wishing the family well. We will also stand beside them, stand with them, support them through these difficult times. God did bless Albert while he was here on earth. He achieved so much. This is our prayer. God will also rest in peace. May his soul rest in peace.
Thank you very much for that befitting tribute. Albert carried on the spirit of late former head of state, uh, General Murtala Mohammed, who established the Unity School. He was also, he carried on that same Pan-African spirit, and that spirit that believed in all Nigerians coming together in unity to advance peace and progress, which are the values that the SOSA also are guided by. Ladies and gentlemen, please let us have Beko Kuwosa, President Mrs. Maureen Awubu, come here. So we trust you to just make it short and sharp. Thank you very much.
I'm glad you.
Good evening. I hope you can hear me because I can't hear a thing. We've lost sound for quite some time. But I'm guessing that because you've spotlighted me and I've been asked to unmute, that the time is ready for me to speak. First of all, I really would have loved to be there with you all in Lagos. I'd like to thank the King's College All Boys Association for inviting Queen's College All Girls Association to be a part of this very, very befitting event for Albert. My association with Albert is indeed more than just Queen's College. We have a very similar history. I attended Federal Government College Warri for 2 years after my O-levels, and that's where I first met Albert. And he left Federal Government College Warri to King's College. And Albert has been someone that just keeps to you, builds relationships, very much interested in Nigeria and also the Old Students Association. And I recall, not just when I became president of Queen's College All Girls, I mean, Albert is someone that I've always used as a model for you not having to spend more than 1 year in a school to contribute to that school and to give it, all your passion and all your interest. And I think for Albert, it was actually more than just, King's College. It was everything, whatever school he attended. And there's more I've learned even since he's died. Albert is a generous person, and to his family, once he committed and made a commitment, he was there for you, and he's someone that will be well missed. Now, a lot has been said that I will if I just continue, I'm repeating what others have said, but permit me to be a bit philosophical, because Albert is thus no more. We're sharing his life with each and every one of us that are still alive, and one day we will all leave. But I think the lesson for me from what's been going on and the extent to which Albert touched lives, impacted everyone, it is for us to reflect on how can we celebrate people when they are alive. I would have loved that Albert was here to listen to how we felt about him. We all saw a little bit of him. And I think, I don't know what it is, because we do it all the time. Maybe it's time, maybe it's, we get too busy. But maybe we should take away the fact that those of us around us are doing so much, in one way or the other. Let's celebrate them. Let's celebrate them when they're alive. And also, how do we support people when they are in need? Albert went through a lot. He went through a lot. But, knowing Albert, you ask him, and, he's like, I'm fine, and I sometimes I ask myself, how else could I have known I was going through all this? What time could I have invested more? Because for him to have contributed so much, I really wish, one could even do much more than one could have done, during his lifetime. But we love him, we miss him. And the family, is here. Please know that we are here. I know we all say this, but truly, sincerely, we are here. And may God guide us. May God guide us to show love to each other, not be too busy, and just to be there for each other, to be present. Albert was present, and I know when fundraising, when he knew the target we had set in our strategic plan for Queen's College, Albert made it a duty to just keep calling to say, how far have you gone? What funds have you raised? And there was a competitive spirit in him, to say that he's already beaten us and, they've raised so much and that we need to buck up, So he's someone I really remember, I miss, and, may God bless him in heaven. May God forgive his sins. We're all not perfect. We pray, Lord, that, he did his best. And we thank you, Lord, for the memories that we have of him. And may God support his family, not just the biological family, all of us, his wider family, but more so his biological family. Condolences to the wife and his children. And please know that we are there to support you. We are part of that family. And we wish you well all the time. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. A big thank you to the old boys of King's College for putting this together for Albert. And not only that, for also giving me an opportunity to speak at this event. I'll try to be very brief because time is fast spent. I would want to say three things. My first thing is to thank King's College. Albert was there at 6:30. You know, it was spot on. King's College, I know, also taught Albert resilience. Albert was very, very resilient. Um, just like the president said, he refused to take no for an answer. Impossible was not a vocabulary in Albert's book. Albert was also audacious. If there was a wall in front of him, he was willing to break through that wall. And he never saw that wall. All of these things I know, learned from FGC Worry, both, and also King's College. But the second thing I also want to say, and I think Mike Magajad also highlighted it, is that Albert's life is full of teachable moments, so many teachable moments. And I think we all be doing a great service to Albert if we do not compile a lot of these teachable moments either in a biography or in a form in which the transactions that he handled and the things that he did, whether be it in education, investment banking, the capital market, the economy, or just general economic research, is not put in a form where people in King's College, Federal Government College, Warri, and also other USUSA schools can learn from it. Because it's not only from a perspective of compiling, but it's also from a perspective of people should learn. Because when you go through it and you go through and you read through everything that Albert has done, there's a lot of inspiration associated with his life. Because if you read Albert's biography, Albert started from Warri to Lagos to Nigeria. So it's very, very inspirational. And the third thing I also want to mention is that I've heard people speak. Sometimes I get the impression that people are mourning Albert. I would like to implore all KCO boys that not to mourn Albert, but to celebrate him.
because Albert was a great man, a great human being. And great men are to be mourned, great men are meant to be celebrated and emulated. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chibudo Edozian. It's underscored the need to document Albert's life. I personally know of all his efforts in through CSR in BGL at the time, in education and health, even the Lion building. There were a lot of things that we did in the Nigerian police to support them, renovated schools, hospitals, and so many things that Albert, out of his generosity through BGL platform, did at the time. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Gbolahan Olayomi at Ministry.
Floriat, up high J. I had the rare privilege of coming into KC before Albert, and Albert being my senior. I came in 1981 as a Form 1 boy, and Albert came in 1981 as citizen Albert Okumagba for his lower sixth. And my first picture of Albert is him bowling from the Goshere end with the ball all the way on the cricket pitch to the defense building end. And his close friend, Chuma Nosike, probably hitting him for a six when we're playing, you know, inter-house between the houses at cricket. I'm not fit to call him Albert. He will always be citizen Okumagba because we don't belong, we're not contemporaries in any way. Albert, citizen Okumagba, the first thing I want to say is to appreciate the president of the King's College Old Boys Association and the EXCO for naming that secretariat after him. Citizen Okumagba sits at par with every single distinguished old boy and president that there could have been in this association. Citizen Okumagba was the first up-school boy that had the guts, you know, to challenge us purebreds, challenge our stiffness, challenged our ajebotaness, as you want to put that. And he didn't look us in the eye, simply came and did what had to be done. And that's the mark of the man. When the Port Harcourt branch that I sat on the EXCO for many years had an issue with the way in which funds were being managed at national level, it was Albert that was building the bridges to ensure that we kept on having a relationship with the national body, because at the time we kind of pulled out. And when he came to me about a year ago, and he would call at midnight. It's always at midnight Albert is calling. Always at midnight. It's at 11 p.m. in the night. Sagbola Holayomi, because I'm a night. Sagbola Hol. I'm calling you now. You need to come and sit and chair that committee, that subcommittee that is going to raise 100 billion naira for King's College. And I put my hand on my head and I said, you can't be serious. What are you doing with 100 billion naira? And he says, look, this PPP thing, Bolaho, you are going to do it. You are going to lead that committee and you are going to make it happen. I said, well, the task has to be done. So tonight, what next is the question for me. Mr. President, I think the first task is to get that secretariat up and going and to bring life back into that secretariat. We will be supporting that at Wildby Interactive. I've spoken to the General Secretary about that, to ensure that everything that's necessary for us to have a virtual platform, for us to always be able to meet, is set up ASAP. so that that secretariat can have life. The legacy is that Albert left my brother SAN, Etigwewa, and myself with the biggest task to do, getting this PPP done. And Mr. President, it's a task that must be done. By God's grace, we trust with God helping you. That task is a task that must be accomplished. And I'm sure those are the things that will make Albert pleased where he is. Us ensuring that the management of the college comes under the management that we have proposed for it to be done. I want to thank once again everyone for coming. God bless you and God bless Albert Okumagba. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bola Olayomi. Though of many nations, we will not forget that we all are brothers with present, past, and future form one mighty whole. So it's interesting hearing Mr. Bola speak about him coming to King's College about the same time with Albert, and that was the year in which I was born. But the one common denominator that you had every time you met King's College Old Boys anywhere was that we had the same sort of expectations of character and behavior from you, and also that altruistic spirit that looked out for everyone. So what we're going to have right now, the tribute from someone that was in King's College with Albert at the same time, Mr. Theodore Sota, who's going to be joining us via Zoom. Technical, please could you help us with sound? Sound, technical.
Very, very intelligent gentleman, keen sportsman, very cocky cricket player. There is and there be no one like Albert Okumagba. Rest in peace, my dear friend. Till we meet again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Theodore Sota. On behalf of all Albert's classmates at King's College, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Sheikh Ladipo, is he here now? Okay, via Zoom. All right, Mr. Sheikh Ladipo. If we're not ready for that, let us have Mr. Lucky DK, please. Mr. Lucky DK, former General Secretary, King's College, Old Boys Association.
I know I have only 1 minute. Many things have been said about Albert over the last few days since he died. Talked about how he was a financial whiz kid, leading investment banker, and how he was a fantastic human being. When I think of Albert, I want to remember his humaneness. How Albert opened his doors to everybody. How Albert always offered to help whenever he had a problem. And even in his last days, one of the things that I found most interesting in this last maybe 3-4 years of his life, when he went through really severe challenges, it was his unending optimism. Albert would tell you that the BGL problem will be resolved within the next 6 months. We get the licenses back and BGL begin trading. Albert always believed in the impossible. And for someone who had made the impossible happen so many times in the early part of his career, it was the only way to continue. He couldn't change. Like Dr. Leke said, one of the saddest things is that we didn't live to see the end of the BGL story. Because we believe that God sparing his life, Albert would have been able to pull off a really incredible turnaround for BJ. Sadly, we won't see that. But what we will see as we move forward from today, we will see the evidences of Albert's goodwill. We'll see the evidences of his generosity. And like Ifueka said, hopefully, we will learn lessons from his life and our outlook will be different. For example, we will celebrate people while they are alive instead of waiting for them to die. So even in death, as he did in life, Albert is teaching us lessons. Albert is giving us instructions, and Albert is showing the way. I remember in 2007 when Albert was running for governor in Delta State, and I followed him to Delta State to campaign. We had some really incredible experiences. We're traveling around Delta State in the middle of the night. We would turn up in Benin at 3 o'clock in the morning and start looking for a hotel to sleep in. We'd check into a hotel at 3:30 and we would leave at 6 a.m. in the morning and carry on. He was an incredible man, really incredible. Sadly, he didn't obviously become governor of Delta State, but he gave it his best shot. And as I round up now and wrap up my tribute, I pray that all of us who knew him, all of us who loved him, all of us who will miss him, that we will take these lessons and it will show in our lives. May God bless Albert Egbara and Okumagba. May God bless his family, Emilia and the children. And may God bless his wider family, the King's College family, the Egosa family, the Yusosa family, and the Nigerian family. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lucky DK. The thing about the King's College Old Boys Association is that wherever you are in life, you'd always find someone that has gone ahead of you, in that field. We have a pastor, one of the many pastors in the association here today, Mr. Pastor Itua Igudalo, who's going to be giving us an exhortation. But I also have presidential instructions from Alhaji Kashim Imam, who has said that he is the head pastor in charge of today's congregation, to appeal to Pastor Igudalo to just make it short and sharp in just 5 minutes. Okay, he's ready now. Okay, so let's quickly have, is that Mr. Sheikh Sladiko? No, that's not Mr. Sheikh. But let's have his tribute very quickly.
Florian, who are you? Am I on?
Yes, please.
Oh, Florian, I needed to say a few words about Egba. I always called him Egba. I didn't know what it meant. I just knew it was one of his names. But maybe because I'm an Egba man myself, somebody from Abeokuta, it stuck. So anytime I saw him, I said the great Egba. Obviously, I didn't. Albert didn't meet me in school. We were clear 10 years ahead. But I got close to him during those years that were mentioned when many of us were drafted into the school renovation project under the leadership of Olorogun Dr. Sonny Kuku as president of the association at that time. And I was privileged to serve and head one of the committees then. So I had to interact closely with Albert, and that's when I got really, really close to him. And I must say, him and many other younger boys, many of them stars in their rights. These are the people that we are looking to make a change in this environment. I mean, and then you can understand how much we're sorry that we have lost Albert at this time. But I know that those who are left will carry on. I don't want to mention their names. These are the people I've said 10 years. But I thought it was a great opportunity that I got when I got close to them, because they are King's College boys and different years. But then, let's thank God for that.
I found well, Albert. I think his destiny was very, very clear. I think having gone to FGC Warri for his earlier years, and then of course coming from the very well known Okumagba clan, which is very, very well known from that area. These are people who are people of excellence. It was obvious that he would leave Warri to come to King's College, if you like, Primus Inter Pares. And I will say that here, Primus Inter Pares, because one of Albert's dreams was in the educational development area, as you have heard from many people. And I got a chance to work with him a little bit in that area. So he was very, very passionate about quote, unity schools. Of course, seeing King's College as being at the head of that heap, but a model. But of course, this you all know what I'm saying. This is something for the whole country. You know, if it works right, I mean, we want to make sure that we spread that joy. But I found Albert to be very, very, very dedicated. I was astounded that somebody could be that dedicated to school activities. A young man like that, and I could at the same time I could see him making waves in the private sector, in the banking and financial area. I knew the and
Thank you
some of
very
the
much.
and am I hello?
Yes, we're running short of time, sir.
Oh, okay. So, well, I found that he employed a lot of King's College boys. That was astounding again. And at some point, when I was running a food processing company, he came to our aid, sent some of the people from the BGL group to assist us in sorting some things out. He was very calm, and we were looking forward to him making a lot of contributions to the new Nigeria that we are looking for. I'm very happy that the EXCO has named the secretariat after him. I will enter that secretariat with a sense of pride anytime I have to come there again. I hadn't seen Albert in a while. We see only socially, I think at Atido Peter Side's son's wedding, and maybe school week. But
Mr. Ladipo, sir.
all will rest in peace. He served the living, and it is fitting for us to honor him at his passing. Florian, may his soul rest in peace.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Sheikh Sladi, for joining us via Zoom. Do we have Mr. Aldo Mekori quickly? Is he on queue? No. If he's not ready, let us have Mr. Chuma Anosike, King's College old boy, and who was also legal advisor of BGL for very many years. Mr. Chuma Anosike.
Yeah, am I on?
Yes, please.
Hello?
Yes, you are, sir.
Audio has been acting up, so I just wanted to confirm. Good evening, everybody. First of all, I'm totally gutted that I can't be physically present at today's event for reasons some of you are already aware. But I had written a tribute, but I felt that I had to say a few words, and I will try and make it brief. Egba, as those of us who were particularly fond of him called him, was a unique human being. He was an enigma. And I'm not going to rehash everything that's been said. As we say in law, I concur. But what I want to just add, this is a night of tributes. And I think the biggest tribute I think we can pay to Albert or Egba is to ensure that some of his dreams do not die. That's the appeal I want to make this evening. A lot has been said. And as human beings, typically, we're all in a bout of emotion. For me, the last 2 months have been particularly tough. But, we have to rise up. We have to move on. That's what Albert would have wanted. So I want
Thank you very much.
to just think. No, sorry, I'm not done. Just one more minute. Huh? I have
Yes, sir.
specific things to present. One is BGL. Those of us who are in a position to assist in the revival of the BGL, the whole thing about the PPP, I think that's been mentioned by Olayemi. We need to drive that. And then thirdly, no, I thought process. Anyway, I will articulate that. Yes, I think we're going to set up a trust fund for the family. That's very important because something I want to point out, a lot of people assumed Albert left a ton of riches behind. He didn't. It might shock some of you. He handled multi-billion naira and dollar transactions, but Albert wasn't about creating personal wealth for himself. It was the transaction. It was about milestones, moving on, developing people, increasing people's wealth and so on. That's what it was on about. So surprisingly, he didn't amass much personal wealth. So I think it would be nice and befitting that we support the family. So I am going to come out with something where talking about setting up some sort of trust fund for the family. So please, those of you who have expressed some level of commitment to ensuring that Albert's memory lives on, will be coming to you in the near future. Thank you. May Albert's gentle soul rest in peace. Floret Collegium.
Floret Collegium, thank you very much. It's reiterating what Mr. President had said earlier. I'd like to remind us that the President, King's College Boys Association, Alhaji Kashim Imam, had announced an initial sum of 10 million naira towards a trust fund for the family, which I'm sure we're going to build upon. Mr. Aldo Mekori, very quickly, 1 minute, please. Thank you.
Florian, it was 2013. I was representing a client who was accessing some money from BGL. So I went in with him to basically help him negotiate the deal. And when we sat on the table, some of the executives in the company were sat there. And in between, just in the middle of the meeting, Albert walks into the room and everybody stands up and they're like, "Oh God, what are you doing here? What are you doing here?" I said, "Oh, Aldo, I heard that you're here." So I came to say hello. That was who Albert was. As big as he was, as accomplished as he was, he felt like people that were much younger, less accomplished probably, were that important that he would leave his board meetings just because a King's College boy was in the room. A lot has been said about Albert, but I'll say something. Albert is more than BGL. He's more than KC. Everything he did was a reflection of his love for people. This underpinned every single thing he did. So if there's something I think we walk away thinking about from Albert today, is that it's how we touch people's lives that makes our memories live on. It's not about how much wealth we amass. It's not about how many private jets we have. And it's not how much people talk about you in the newspapers. Everybody today has been talking about his impact in a personal way to every person he touched. May his soul rest in peace. Flores.
Thank you very much, Mr. Aldo Mekori, former Social Secretary, King's College Boys Association, and as well as former CEO of the Chocolate City Group. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as we welcome Pastor Itua Igodalo to give us a very short exhortation. Thank you.
Amen. Shall we pray? Father in heaven, we thank you sincerely for the times and the privilege of sharing Albert's life and for the ability to come together today to thank you for a truly great life. Please accept our thanks in Jesus' name. Let our college continue to flourish. Let the family of Albert Okumagba be blessed. Let all be well with them. And let it be well with our nation, Nigeria. In Jesus' name. First of all, let me thank the organizers of this event for putting together a very good event. I want to thank you very much. And also to thank all the King's College old boys here, especially our President Emeritus, Olorugunsoni Kuku, President Emeritus. That name won't fail. President Emeritus. Come on, let's give the Lord. Thank you for being here and for those very inspiring words. And I want to thank our present president, Pastor Kashim Imam, KCOBA, for being such a great pastor of the King's College flock. He's done an amazing job. I think you need to give Pastor Kashim a round of applause. He's waiting to collect the tithes, but I know King's College boys won't pay him tithes because we're still trying to get them to develop the school and they're refusing. My pastor, it is well with you in Jesus' name.
Albert's passing is an opportunity for all of us Kingsmen to reflect on ourselves and to reflect on our alma mater and to reflect on our lives. And also for the Usosa, did I get it right? Well, whatever it is, Usosa, King's College aspirators who are here to also reflect on their lives and their school and also on our nation, Nigeria. One of my favorite Psalms is the Psalm 133. It says, behold, it's called the Song of Degrees, written by King David. How good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. Maybe they met unity schools that we're talking about. It's like the precious ointment on the head of Aaron that ran down the beard, even Aaron's beard, went down to the skirts of his garment, as the dew of Hermon, and as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion. For there the Lord commanded his blessing, even life forevermore. David, the great king of Israel, was trying to explain to us there's some things that are greater than prayer, some things greater than fasting, some things even greater than common hard work. And one of those things is called unity. It is good and it is pleasant for brothers and sisters to dwell together in unity. Because when they dwell together in unity and they're united in thought, word, deed, and action, God has a habit of commanding his blessings. I've just come back from a trip some time ago, and I saw a place where they called the Burj Khalifa. And it was a building built in Dubai and has become the tallest building in the world. And when I looked at that building and the method of its construction and the people who constructed it, you realize that there was somebody from different parts of the world. There was a German, there was an Israeli, there was a British, there was a Russian, there was a Saudi Arabian, there was a Dubaian, there was a Moroccan. There were many, many people who came together to put together the tallest building in the world. And it reminded me of the Bible story of the Tower of Babel, where all sorts of people came together and they were going to build this tower and build it for their own recognition, for their own benefit. And God came down and looked at them building the tower, and he said, these people are so united, these people are so together, these people speak one language, that whatsoever they have thought in their hearts, even I, God, cannot prevent it. I cannot prevent the thoughts of their hearts as long as they are united. And when I saw the Burj Khalifa, it took me back to that story that people all over the world came together, spoke one language, the language of construction, and they built that building. And one of the challenges of Nigeria today is that we're not united. We are not together. We're not doing the things we need to do. And Albert's death has given us a reason to reflect on those things. Like Ifweko said, we didn't appreciate Albert much in his lifetime. And this is what death does. We need to honor people more when they're around. Albert was a bridge builder. Albert was a uniting force. And it used to amaze me how Albert would select a leader and choose a leader, prop up a leader, encourage the leader, and serve under the leader. Very unusual, very un-Nigerian, very untypical. He made our president. He encouraged him to be president. He forced me and cajoled me to get into the executive of King's College Old Boys. Himself, I think, Lucky wouldn't let me rest, kept on inviting me to meetings that didn't concern me, and kept on saying that whether I liked it or not, I was part of the expo and blah, blah, blah. And then finally, they got Chikobi to bully me and to pressurize me. And suddenly one day they said Kashim was going to be president and I should be his vice and supporter, blah, 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 and that the deal was done. I know that Albert was behind that deal. That's how Albert works. And he came and crept in and stood there as just an ordinary EXCO member. And that is Albert Okumagba for you. The guy who did great things and who wanted to unite people together. And one of the things we need to look at very quickly today, because President is afraid. Yesterday I preached for about 2 hours. So
So he's afraid that I might preach for 4 hours. We are going to mount. Sorry. It was my junior anyway, so he can mount. He should call me Citizenito. Well, president is president of everybody. So am I no president? My president. Number one, in Nigeria, KCOB were not serious enough. I'm sorry to say this. We are not serious enough. A few of us are negative thinkers, and we're not allowing the King's College Old Boys to progress. We're not sacrificial enough and willing to give up enough of ourselves so that we can get King's College moving. I hope that Albert's passing will bring about that sacrifice that he was that he represented, that seriousness that he emboldened, and that commitment that he showed. Like somebody said, nobody will believe that Albert spent only 1 year or so, a little over 1 year in King's College. In fact, I thought he was a real King's College boy, but he's what, but it's what we call an up-school boy. You know, he's to be seen and not to be heard. Is that not so? Oh no, that's the fact. Oh, I'm sorry. Off-school boy is off-school boy. And he came and made prefect in King's College. I think Albert was truly, truly outstanding. Jesus Christ said, except a man be born of water and the Spirit, he cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. We need to know that that means sacrifice. And Albert's sacrifice was exceptional. We need to come together as King's College boys and begin to sacrifice. Number two, our school song says, others are waiting to cheer you as you run this particular race. One of the things we don't do enough of in King's College is to cheer one another. We don't care enough for one another. Like Foucault also said, we don't check on one another and we're not helping one another. Our network is not as strong as it should be. And Albert was an embodiment of that network, putting it together, making sure that everywhere he saw a King's College boy, he gave him the King's College and the FGC Warrior or the Unity Schools respect and put them together. We must not forget that we all are brothers with a common debt and that we should always play the game, learning to pull together, each one with the rest, playing up and striving, each to do his best. We've been striving so hard to raise up money to take over this school. We've been striving so hard to turn King's College into what it used to be. A lot of us, including Albert himself, didn't send his children to this school, and that's not what it's supposed to be. A lot of us came to this school because our parents were in this school, our grandparents were in this school, and we should learn from this person that we should bring things together right now. Even right now, we're trying to raise money for a King's College-inspired movie called The Milkmaid, and it's such a struggle. Somebody said, let me come to the King's College boys to raise this money, but the King's College boys are not responding as they should. I pray that our last person will make us respond a little bit better. My third point as I close and I go and take my seat is that we need to learn to live right. We need to learn to live right. Leviticus chapter 19 verse 1 to 2 says, the Lord spake unto Moses, speak unto the children of Israel, you shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, I am holy. Our school song says, nurtured in her classrooms, in our early youth, where we learn to cherish chivalry and truth. It was simply saying, be ye holy as the Lord your God is holy. We were tutored and nurtured with ethics and morals in this school. We're taught that we never fail. We're taught that we're kingsmen. We're taught that we're leaders in Nigeria. We're taught that we're supposed to be well behaved. I remember for literary debating society in Queen's College, and my school father, or my semi-school father, was a guy called Amadou Abubakar. So I went, and he said he wanted to see what I was wearing to go for literary and debating society in Queen's College. And I wore my nice pair of shorts, nice shirt and all that. And Amadou laughed at me. He says, this is not King's College like, man, wear nice pair of trousers and go there and chase those girls. And from that time to today, I've been chasing the girls. But don't tell my congregation members. Anyway, we need to learn not to fail. We need to learn not to give up.
Our school song says, if you fail, look closely, seek the reason why. Chibundo, you look like a King's College boy. I told you that yesterday. You pretend to be a King's College boy. I think it's your relationship with Albert that has given you that suave and that class. I love your suits, amen? But BGL has not failed, and it will not fail. It has not failed, and it will not fail. You must take BGL to the top where Albert saw, because he will still see that dream, even in heaven where he is. I wish you all very well. You know, I have a very special place for both of you, and now I'll transform all that to you and do my best to ensure that BGL does not fail. Albert didn't take failure as a choice, and BGL is in transition, and it will get there. We must love one another, ladies and gentlemen, because sons love one another. Present, past, and future, they form one mighty hope, shining forth emblazoned on one muster roll. When the call is sounded, all must answer, here! Voice and bearing showing, neither shame nor fear. A new commandment I give unto you, John says, that you love one another as I have loved you. We can do it for Albert's sake. Though of many nations, we will not forget that we are all brothers with a common debt. Let us pay by giving as we forge ahead. Service to the living, honor to our dead. Albert Egbaregone Okumagba, we honor you today.
As always, Pastor Itwa makes it very difficult for the next person to, to command the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, as we draw this event to a close, the family of our late brother would like to give a vote of thanks and show their appreciation to all attended. However, I have been informed that there is some slight communications difficulty because they are in transition. And so as a result, we're going to have a family member and a close comrade of our brother, Mr. Oluwapata, come up and speak on their behalf.
President of the King's College of Boys Association, Alaji Kashimina, President Emeritus, Yoruba, yeah, Yoruba, our father, Albert. You know, I have avoided the microphone. I've said that I will not speak throughout all of the events, Albert, because like our president, I wasn't so sure that I would be able to comport myself. But when the call is sounded, I almost answer here. And you know, God works in mysterious ways. But when it came to the point for the family to give vote of thanks, a lot has fallen on me to give thanks. If not for anything else, on behalf of the Okumagba family, and indeed I am family. Please. I am family. To the president of the King's College of Boys Association for naming the secretariat after Albert. Thank you. Thank you very much. For those who worked so hard to put this together, Tosa, under the direction of our president, Peter Wamboko, young men who worked so hard to put this together. Thank you. For all those who have supported the family, who have called, who have visited, who have tried very hard to attend all of the events, even in these very difficult times, these very perilous times. Thank you. For those of you who will be joining us in Warri, may God go with all of us and bring us back safely. Let me lend my voice to that of Joanna CK to say that if there's anything else we can do, is to make sure that Albert's his dreams don't die. He dreamed big dreams. But like Lucky Dike said, he was also very human. He loved people. Yes, Chuma was right. He didn't store up riches for himself. I know that for a fact. Because for him, it wasn't about earthly acquisition. He loved people. He cared about people. He cared about me. I mean, you all know my relationship with Albert. So, I say thank you. King's College, you all know that KC was such a huge part of Albert's life. A huge part of his life. He believed in KC. Albert's doors were open. Anything King's College. When I would, as Olorogun would always refer to it, my moments of rebellion, it's Albert who would call me and say, "Are you joking? Where are you going to? King's College is us. What are you talking about? You can't give up." I said in my tribute, I know this is not how I wanted the story to end. But who are we to question God? Definitely not me. So thank you to King's College, to the King's College family. Thank you for supporting Albert's family. Thank you for keeping Albert's memory alive. We have a whole lot more to do. I'm sure we can count on each and every one of you to continue to honor the memory of our brother Albert Barogene. Thank you.
I'm informed that we finally have Mr. Francis Okumagba, Albert's brother, who wishes to say a couple of words. So can we please listen to what he has to say? Thank you.
Am I on? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Am I on? The president of KCOB and all distinguished boys of the school and head students, I come representing Albert's lovely wife, his children, and the entire Okumagba family of Okere Urubu Kingdom, Warri. First of all, I would like to apologize because we had to leave Lagos for Warri today because of the volatile nature of the flight system in the route that we had to go to. We'll have loved to be part of this event. We looked forward to it, but circumstances beyond our control made it impossible. I want to appreciate you and thank you for all that you have done, for all the wonderful and kind words about Albert, and to urge you to continue to do what you are doing, but I'd like to just send a message from one of Albert's dreams as it relates to KCOB. Albert gets involved in anything and he takes it to heart and does it as if everything depends on it. King's College was one of these groups. Albert's desire for King's College Old Boys, is to transform the school and make it a model school that everybody will be attracted to. The networking power of KCOB, he cherishes it a lot because the King's men are well positioned all over Nigeria. He believed that the King's men had the power to position and direct the aim of affairs in Nigeria and make Nigeria great. Because they were well represented in the financial system, they were in government, and they have a lot of old boys that have money. He believes so much that putting the network together can create a situation where they can influence a lot of things as it relates to education, the education system in Nigeria. And the networking opportunity, he believes also will have created the opportunity to solve any problem that any of their members have. Unfortunately, that dream was not achieved to a large extent because of the selfishness of man. KC Old Boys have everything they need to make things happen around them. I want to urge them to look at the power of their network and use it very well to reposition Nigeria. That is one of Albert's greatest dreams. And I'd like you to do something about it. Finally, I'd like to thank you and appreciate you for the funds, the support, the prayers that you have made for the family. We look forward to seeing you in Warri on Friday when the final burial will take place. I want to thank you and wish you well as you go to your various homes. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
I would like to invite the King's College Old Boys President, Haji Hashim Imam, to say a few words. Mr. President.
First, I would like to give the assurance that I will definitely do better than Trinity House by not keeping us here for 3 hours. So just keep looking at your wristwatch. Another 5 minutes, we'll be out of this hall. I want to say thank you to everyone. And I want to quickly respond. We'll do everything humanly possible to realize Albert's dreams. First, I want to restate our commitments to his immediate family, most especially his young kids. That King's Men and King's College will be there for them. Secondly, his dreams. My first response is the new Albert Okumagba King's College All Boys Association Secretariat will commence renovation work on Monday, next Monday. And I shall be personally committing the sum of 10 million naira. I acknowledge my seniors seniors in terms, there are several that I was not even privileged to meet in the college, but also seniors in the depth of the size of their pockets. I call on all Kingsmen. Our record in terms of giving back to the school, particularly in matters concerning money, is appalling. There is a need for us to improve on it, and I challenge every Kingsman. Next, because Albert had, I said Albert is the dream. Not just that he left, he dreamt big. The PPP project. I want to name Senator Ododoma as chairman of our endowment fund committee this evening. We are also naming Alhaji Shamsuddin Usman as chairman of the PPP committee to interact, to negotiate, to conclude this year discussions with the federal government. I want to announce that it can never be better than this if we don't achieve under the presidency, current presidency of President Buhari and the current Minister of Education, Mala Adamu will never achieve this objective. So I'm challenging all of us. First, I'm challenging myself and I'm challenging ESCO. I'm happy that the President Emeritus Olorogun Sonny Kuku is here listening to him. I'm challenging the members of the Board of Trustees that we must actualize this dream this year. And I'm personally committed to this. Next, USOSA. My friend Lawrence Wilbert is here. Members of the ESCO of USOSA are here. I want to publicly commit that King's College belongs to USOSA, and we will participate in the activities of USOSA more than we've ever done in the past. I will attend every ESCO. I will also attend every plenary, my very difficult schedule permitting. Alba's biggest dream, well, let me talk about BGL before I finally talk about Nigeria. The MD of BGL is here. We have a committee of 3. Alhaji Jani Ibrahim is here. He will liaise with you, he will interact with you on a daily basis. Chuma Anosiki is a member of that committee, and my humble self will lend you a hand. We'll do everything humanly possible. Also, I am very conscious of the fact that because we've made several efforts in the past, that the problems associated with BGM are numerous. But where there is the will, there will always be a way. So we as Kingsmen would do everything humanly possible. This is Alba's primary dream. We'll make sure that that dream lives on, and we'll be there to work with you. Finally, on Project Nigeria, I listened to Alba's brother Francis when he spoke, and several previous speakers. We are in a mess, and my position has always been this institution specifically created to provide leadership for this country. We must provide leadership, and we will provide leadership. We will participate more than we previously participated, and I want to assure that for the duration, for as long as I remain president, I'll personally lead this effort. And even when I stop being president, I will still remain committed to Project Nigeria. We must take our rightful positions in the leadership of this country if we want this country to work. Very finally, I'll be leading our team to Warri tomorrow. I'm aware that There are at least 10 of us, probably more than 10 of us on that delegation. The Deputy President, Dr. Leke Oshuni, the immediate past General Secretary, who is now Vice President, Mr. Loki Idike, the Assistant Secretary, Mr. Tosan, Mr. Peter Mwambogu, and several other kingsmen will be leading to Wari to accord a friend and brother a most befitting burial. We'll do this on behalf of all kingsmen. Once again, thank you very much for availing us of your time. I want to especially thank the President Yusosa, President Queen's College, Madam President of the Federal Government All Boys Association, Wari, and it's most befitting that although Wari has a population of, or a ratio of like 80 to 20% in favor of male, the president of Wari All Boys Association is a female, is a lady. Maureen, my sister, thank you very much. Olorogun Sonikuku, may you continue to provide leadership to all of us. My friend, my brother, and fellow pastor, Itua Igodalo, I thank you for always being there, for inspiring us, for creating time. You play so many different roles: accountant, pastor, vice president of King's College All Boys Association. Thank you for being there for us. Above all, I thank all Kingsmen. I thank young men who served on this committee. May God grant us joining mercies, everybody. Thank you, and God bless us all.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for that heartfelt and effusive speech. As you have noted, the night is running to a close, so with no further ado, I will move to the next item, which is the singing of the school song. And I am pleased to introduce our finest baritone to the stage, the good doctor himself, Dr. Leke Oshuni.
Kingsmen, may I ask that we all rise for the school song? Do we have any music accompanying us? I doubt it. On the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Gloria collegium, Charlemagne to be. Let us shout it boldly.
And to pull together, each one with the rest. Laying up the strife, each should do his best. This shall be a watch,
But always play the game.
sound the
Host of praises, trumpet forth of faith. Though many nations do not forget that we all are brothers with a common debt. Let us pay by giving us before your head. Promise to believe it. This is what they teach us in the good old school. Only by your feet may we learn to roll. If you bend closely, it's the reason why. You have power to conquer if you only try. Others went before you, unattained the light. Where the way to cheer you, victors in the fight. There shall be a watch, but always play the game. Sound the old school's praises, trumpet for her fame. Though many nations we will not forget that we all are brothers with a common debt. Let us pay by giving as we forge ahead. Service to the living, honor to our dead. Present, past, and future of a mighty hope, shining forth and blaze, and onward must to roll. When the call is sounded, voice of bearing showing neither shame nor fear, pointing to our which is stand. Right as when we took it from our founder's hands. This shall be a watchword always play the game. Down the old school's praises, trumpet forth of fame. Though many nations, we will not forget that we all are brothers with a common debt. Let us pay by giving as we forge ahead. Service to the living, honor to our dead. Thank you, please.
Thank you, Dr. Lekiri. Final hymn. Final hymn. Sorry, please, we still have 2 more items as a final hymn. Play it now. We still have the final hymn, ladies and gentlemen. So could we please exercise a little more patience?
The higher you build your barriers, the taller I become.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention for 1 minute, please? Ladies and gentlemen, Floriat, can I please have your attention? Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, please, can I have your attention for a minute, please? Ladies and gentlemen, I crave your indulgence for a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, please. Yes, I would like to apologize on behalf of the EXCO and the committee for my egregious breach of protocol. I have failed to acknowledge the presence of our PKC, so I'm very sorry, sir. The fault is mine. And please, you may feel free, all of you, to mount me as often as you want and wherever you want. My apologies, sir.
Please mount now.